What's going on, everybody? This is Black Men Sundays. I'm your host, Corey Sylvester Murray, and we're talking about generational wealth, mental health, finance, and business.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
And before we introduce today's guest, it's October now. We're getting ready for our turkey drive next month in November. There will be a QR code at the bottom of this recording on all the platforms. Last year, we did 232 turkeys for two Boys and Girls Clubs. This year, we're doing three, and we're getting one of the biggest clubs in Central Florida. So we're looking for 500 turkeys this year. And if we get any extra money, the first 100 students and their parents will definitely get some sides to go with it. Let's go on and introduce today's guest. We're talking to Kenneth Lord, this brother here. When we're talking about leadership, when we're talking about purpose, when we're talking about motivation, this brother's out of Newport Beach, California. This brother, check this out. He's the founder of 7 privately held companies, including AI. So we're definitely going to talk about that on the show. This brother also, when we're talking about business models, business planning, he's also the founder of the True Leadership Institute. We're going to find out what that's about today. He also has the Grow Your Vision for Men coming up next month. So without further ado, Kenneth Lord, welcome to Black Men Sundays, brother. How you doing?
Good. Thanks, Corey. I really appreciate you having me on today. It's just an honor to be part of this amazing podcast that you do regularly. So thank you.
Definitely. And I just want to jump right in. Obviously, our show is about creating generational wealth. We speak to a lot of CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs. And one thing, when I was doing some research on one of your websites, you said conscious entrepreneurship. And I said, what is that? So let's talk about that.
Oftentimes what happens for people is that they're on autopilot, right? And what we're really wanting to create here is more focused on like purpose driven. I call it living in purpose versus living on purpose. And this is really where, you're being cognizant and conscious of the steps and your intentions to live out your purpose in life, right? And it's always going to begin from within. So everything that we're going to be talking about today is always going to start from within, and it actually ends within as well. The outcome of it is within. It's going to be that fulfillment.
You're the founder of 7 privately held companies. Let's talk about how you were able to set that up. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of business owners listening, and then I'll follow up about the business models and business plans and things of that sort. But let's talk about how you were able to establish your businesses. And also I noticed one of your businesses says AI. So I definitely want to talk about that and the importance of that and how that can take your business to the next level.
So essentially, one of the things that my late wife taught me was that you start a company. And so let's just say you set up a corporation or a company, and through establishing that, there's a time frame. So there's a time frame to start that company, right? You're going to fill out the paperwork, then the government or state's going to do something. Well, in that interim, you start a second company. And then that paperwork and all those pieces are going to go, be in process. And then you start a third company. And within about 90 days or so, you'll have 3 companies starting to create momentum. The whole idea around building businesses, in my mind, is you want to look at a company where it's one client or one amount of money is going to pay for your entire month's amount that you need. If you could establish that, right? And one of the things we'll also talk about is looking at things from the greatest impact or result that you can achieve in the shortest amount of time with the fewest number of steps. So an example of that would be, and this is how I look at everything in my life, my business and so forth, and with my clients. So for example, let's just say that you were in the music industry, okay? And in that music industry, you're looking to achieve great things. Well, you want to reverse engineer that and create, once you reverse engineer that, you create structures and systems and processes and all this kind of things. It's what I do for a living. This is kind of an expertise. And so when you look at that, you're looking at what are those 1, 2, and 3 steps to achieve that result or goal. So if you're in the music industry, who is the one person you would focus on? That all you need to do is just focus on that one person that you could achieve everything that you've always wanted. Give me an example of that one person. Quincy Jones. Just get a hold of Quincy Jones And guess what? If he likes your music, he can make a few phone calls and you can be successful really fast, right? Or you can name a few people, right, in that industry. But the point is that if you do it for 7 years or 10 years or what have you, and you're not getting enough traction, but you feel like you're getting, you have good music, for instance, if you just paused and focused on those fewest number of steps, just put all your time and energy into those things and achieve them, you can achieve great things. An example of this would be years ago, I have an organization called Africa as One. And the goal at that moment was to raise money so that we can achieve some great things in the world, right? And we were in contact with the sixth largest PR firm in actually Southern California. And what I was doing when I was talking with them is I said, I need to have lunch with this person. And they said, no problem, it'll be this much money and I'll get you a lunch with that person, for instance, right? And that luncheon could have changed the trajectory of our organization but it was the fewest number of steps to achieve the greatest results, right? And if we think about these things for ourselves and for our clients, we can achieve some amazing things. The thing to do is to really get really clear, ponder, pause, and really reflect upon what's the greatest outcome. So I always ask people when I'm talking with them, what's your ultimate goal? And that ultimate goal is whatever that is, right? And then I say, okay, well, another example this is important. That's why I'm kind of sharing this with you. So I have this client who is a broker, real estate broker. He had 65 agents underneath him. And when we started talking, I said, what do you want to achieve? He said, well, I want to spend time with my wife, get back at 5 o'clock every day. I want to spend time with my kids. And I said, what else? He said, I want to launch a national franchise like Keller Williams. I said, great. What's your timeline for that? He said, oh, like 2 years. I said, why can't we do that in 6 months? He said, well, there's really no reason why we can't. In 9 months, we launched it. In his mind, it was a certain thing, but we were able to achieve that, one, because he followed through with what he and I talked about, and we were moving all the pieces forward. But also it was really having that person to hold the emotional bandwidth, that's what I call it, with you to achieve what that looks like, right? And it's really looking at what are those fewest number of steps and continuing along those lines so that you can achieve those things quickly.
And let's kind of stay on that a little bit because, there's a lot of business owners that listen to our show. And there's a lot of new business owners where, I want to talk about like a business plan or business models because recently, with Black Men Sundays, I've had someone come to me and says, hey, I would love to invest in your business. What's your business model, what's your business plan? So what are some good, like if you're setting your business up and you've thought it through a little bit, but you don't really know, like when you're speaking to an investor, you want to sound like, okay, this is what's happening. You're a fan of what you're listening to. So you want to sound professional having that conversation. So first off, let's just talk about like the business plan and business models for businesses first off.
So here's what's interesting. My dialogue is maybe a little different than most. And over the years, I basically launched a few different types of businesses. And one of them is where we went in and I was working with a lot of founders and incubators and accelerators. Okay. And through that process, what I realized is that most of them were focusing on raising a certain amount of capital. And that's what they wanted. There was one gentleman in mind right now who needed 125,000. And the company was a coding company. They were doing really well. He was a coder. He did tons of things. But the problem was that 125, no angel investor was willing to give that to him, or at least he couldn't find somebody because it was in that spot in which they're not really interested in that dollar amount. So in that session, I encouraged him to focus on building business credit. Okay. And if he needed to, build his personal credit so that they will leverage his personal credit through the business credit. And we can get further into that later. And so the reason why that's important is because this is really an important topic that you just asked me about, because the way that I look at it is if you go ahead and get an investor who's going to take a certain amount of equity from you, that means that equity, you first of all have an internal stress level associated usually with regards to there's somebody here who is going to take a certain amount. There's you have to live up to certain things, etc. But if it's all you, then it's all about your vision. It's all about what it is that your big plan is. Okay. And there, the only stress is you fulfilling in what it is that you set out to achieve. My take on that is that you want to build business credit. You want to build your personal credit up, get business funding, and build your business credit so you can get business funding. So you're fundable. You're building the fundability. And then once you get going and you're starting to generate 30, 40, 50,000 a month, and you got a good momentum, that's when, if you want to get funding, you're not only going to be less likely to give more of a percentage that you would normally want to give anyways, less desperate, and more really drawing to you those investors who see the bigger vision that you've already established. Because nowadays, I've been talking to some investors, and nowadays they're more hesitant on investing in startup, just starting vision. They're in the vision stages, even angel investors. They're more focusing on, you already have some cash flow, recurring something, and then they'll invest in you, right? So to answer that question really is to focus on building your personal credit, your business credit, getting yourself business fundable, and then getting business funding. And then through that process, first of all you have to do is just pay 5,000 or 6,000 or what have you for somebody to create a business plan for you, because you'll have the cash flow to do that. And you already have some financials and so forth to share with these people who are creating your business plan out. And then also you're being in a better position to raise capital in the way that you're really wanting to raise the capital. You're not feeling desperate, and you're not sabotaging yourself because you're not you're not feeling optimal to where you really ultimately want to be. And the way I would look at it is, if you're on Shark Tank, for instance, and you have a great product, you're already generating some cash flow, and what you're looking for is the quantum rather than, the cash flow. Okay, you got cash coming in and so forth. In my mind, again, if you're positioning yourself in a certain way, yes, the questions are important, but what you're asking them is more about what you can provide for me. What's the value that you're providing for me? And this is, if you watch Shark Tank as an example, you'd actually see this with some of these contestants, right? With some of these people, they're actually they're basically saying, oh, this person already has this experience. They're already working with HSN, for instance, or some other thing. This is the one I want right here. These other ones are great, but this one here I want. You follow me? So you're in better position is my entire point in this conversation. So it's more that than it is some of the jargon and so forth.
Let's talk about AI, because AI is really big. So if I have a business, and I understand you have AI business as well, you have 7 businesses, which is awesome. But how are you using AI to advance your business or to make the business work better?
That's interesting because typically we think outside the box, right? And so, essentially our CRM has AI built into it. So one of the things I did was I separated it as a company. So we have automateyouai.com. And what that is focused on specifically is, if somebody has leads coming in, it could come from any, Facebook, or if you have Facebook ads or any sort of, activity coming inward, is going to pre-qualify them and book them on a calendar, if that's your model, or send them to a page or whatever, right? But AI is literally pre-qualifying them, and then is going to do whatever you want them to do. That's one part of it. Another part of it is, we can set it up to where there's outbound calls using AI, right? That's another option for sales calls. We use it for lots of things, actually. We have a promptless AI built into our system. We don't have to actually have some prompts. We could just go in and add, certain titles or topics that we want to focus on, or characteristics or something, and bam, it's gonna create lead magnets. It's gonna create lots of different things for us. We have the ability to use AI for LinkedIn lead gen, for instance, where you can go in and it's attached to your LinkedIn, and you go in and let's just say you like a post and you just want to go through posts just to create activity. You can just, click the button. It gives you an option how you want to speak, and then bam, it's going to create a post, and bam, it's done. Like you've acknowledged something or said something to these people on LinkedIn, for instance, right? So oftentimes that's more of what I'm into than, say, developing out all these different things. And for me, it's about, helping clients to mobilize themselves, right? So they say to me, they tell me what they want, or I help them to come to that vision together. And then what we do is we build out that mechanism for them so that they can mobilize. So for example, our LinkedIn lead generation, we can send out 80 to 100 personalized invitations a day with multiple follow-up messages. And you don't have to do anything until somebody actually replies. It's really amazing. It's really amazing. And yeah, and we even have VAs if we want to attach the VAs to that, where, for example, mine, I had it set up. This was before COVID, but I went full blast and I set up 2 LinkedIn profiles. I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but I'm going to say it anyways. 2 LinkedIn profiles, and I just put on full blast. And I had 4 to 8 meetings a day, and I was booked 2 to 3 weeks out. And I had 2 part-time VAs answering people for me. And I got so busy, I had to slow the whole process down because I couldn't even run my business. It was so busy, right? And so it really works. And I've used it for many, many years, and we have clients that use it and so forth. So pretty cool system.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna want to have to try that out because I'm old school. I've been doing it kind of manually, tick, 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 and I'm like, oh man, this is a lot because then I have to do it
You
on
must
each
try it.
platform, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll use if I use like a Meta device where it'll post it on 4 different platforms. Sometimes the
Yeah.
sizing is off, the fonts don't look right, and then you're tagging people, and it's like, oh, well, that's his Instagram, but we're on his LinkedIn, and that gets a little messy. So that's where I was looking at some AI. From your point of view, as we're building generational wealth, like what would you say is the best way to build it and how to stay consistent over the years to get that
Right.
compounding interest?
So essentially, it's all recurring revenue, right? It's just all recurring revenue. It could be a membership. It could be like we have a CRM, our CRM called Automate You, and it has text marketing, email, social media, landing pages, funnels, membership. It has where we can post to all the social platforms, and it's all comes. There's payment gateways. Everything's all built into it. And so essentially, whatever we're charging per month, that's reoccurring. Most entrepreneurs are going to need email marketing, right? They're going to need to send out emails. They're going to need to send out text. They're going to need a landing page or a website. They're going to need sometimes it's memberships. So you as an entrepreneur could utilize that system only, and you might not only use just a couple of features. Like you might just say, hey, I just want the membership component of it, right? And that membership is an entire business for you, or you can create recurring revenue from the membership. Like you can have 3 different tiers, one for $19.95, one for $49, one for $200, whatever you want, $500, you know? And so that's recurring revenue for you. In my mind, that's what's going to, those 2 things, either a CRM, affiliate, or, affiliate with, send out things for affiliate, a membership, something of that nature that's going to create recurring revenue. Look, every telephone company has recurring revenue, right? Our utilities, all recurring. So essentially in the SaaS, it's basically called SaaS, software as a service. In that world, the churn rate is only 2% as an industry wide, which is pretty low. Means that somebody drops out of your system. It's kind of like when do you, if you use Verizon or T-Mobile or what have you, when was the last time you changed carriers? Like how many years ago was it, right? Or, et cetera. So it's the same concept. So outside of anything such as, and you have to think about it, for example, let's just say it's $200 a month and you have 50 people or 100 people paying you $200 a month. And that just keeps growing and growing. You can put Facebook ads up to basically get people in there, right? And it just keeps going on. You have 2% churn rate. That's not very much comparatively to what you could actually receive. And you could have higher dollar amounts and so forth, right? So to me, that's the fastest, simplest, most cost-effective way of creating generational wealth. And by the way, it doesn't have to be it could be where, for instance, you're an affiliate of Automate You, for instance, right? You're going to receive your percentage every single month from those people who just came on board. So, and by the way, it's automated. So that means that your link, the payment gateway, is going to give you your percentages at the exact same time we get our percentages. So you could do a lot with that kind of thing in your own business.
Oh, that's great information. Okay, I'm going to let my brother Kalali ask you a couple of questions.
You were talking about shortening the amount of time that you use to build your business or make your business successful by, cutting the amount of steps you have to do the things. So one of the examples that you use was, say, reaching out to somebody who's very powerful in like the music industry, like Quincy Jones or somebody like that. So What I'm thinking about is like you're trying to start a business. You may have a network of people that you know. How can you leverage that network, I guess, to get to the real movers and shakers that you need to that are aligned with your business in order to make it more successful? Does that make sense?
So, and everybody has obviously their answers and so forth.
Yeah.
The how I look at relationships is one, I don't take any of them for granted, not even one. Okay. And because that one person could be the person that, could be the trash man or somebody who may not seem that important, could be the person who brings you the most powerful person that you need to meet just because, right? And so, an example of that would be a friend of mine has a Rolls Royce, and he let somebody come in, somebody who did cars or something of that nature, and he wanted to sit inside the car, and he let him sit inside the car and experience it and so forth. And it ended up that that same person brought him a deal that made him the most money he's ever made, and that person who sat in his car, and so you don't want to just look down at anybody or think that they can't provide something for you. The next piece to that is that how I look at things is I look at things where, for instance, what I've noticed is that when I go to events, physical events, what happens is those are the places where I have the fastest client acquisition. Why? Because you get to know, like, and trust people, and you can reach people. And I'm always conscious. And here's how I go to these events and I look at it. I look at it from the standpoint of how can I collaborate or partner with the person who put this event on, or the founder of that company or that organization. This is always the way I'm looking at it. I'm there clearly to learn and so forth. But anytime I'm going to an event, the reason why I'm going there is because I know that my potential clients are going to come there as well, right? And I also want to meet with the president or that person who put that event on, because first of all, they have all the contacts to all those people, right? So if you have your own people, the people that are around you, and that's just one side of it, right? If you are talking about your own people, for instance, the first question you ask yourself is, who are you hanging around with? Because the first thing you need to focus on is, are you hanging around with the people that you're aligned with, and that maybe you need to remove some of them out of your life and then hang around more with those who you're more aligned with, for instance, right? Because the ones that you're not aligned with are actually holding you back or holding you down. Maybe there's something you're in your ear or something of that nature. The other thing is that I don't think of my friends or my network as people to leverage, because first of all, we all can feel and see people's desperateness, and they're trying to use us or leverage us or something, right? How I would create something is all around collaboration or partnerships. So when I'm looking at somebody, for example, I might say to somebody else, let's just say I meet somebody, or I might say, oh, I know so and so that I can introduce you to. And that introduction gave me an established perspective or perception in both of their eyes now, right? Because I introduced them to two power people basically together. So I'm not looking at it like I'm getting something out of it. I'm looking at it in this innocent manner of saying, I know somebody based upon what you just said to me or the need that you have. I know somebody, let me get on a call right now. Like I take action. I'm not delaying it. Let's get on a call right now. Hey, Jones, let's go over and talk about these things right here. Right now, let's get on a call. Or it could just be a call, a short introduction, right? It doesn't have to be some long call. Just keep in mind that because you did that with one or both of these parties, they're more open usually to you stepping up and saying, hey, let's talk about collaborating, because you just raised your perspective. What you'll see is what we get paid for is our perspective. The reason why we get paid for our perspective is because, think about it for a second. If somebody has achieved something that you admire or you want to achieve yourself, you want to see their perspective. first of all, how did they get there? How did they achieve it? Or even where they're seeing from at that place. It doesn't mean that they're going to teach you everything. But if they say, well, if you just do this, this, and this, well, and you're thinking, yeah, I've thought about a couple of these, but I didn't think about this third one right here. They just gave you the golden nugget right there, right? So that's what they're getting paid for. Richard Branson doesn't get paid to go on stage to teach you how to build empires. He's giving you his perspective and the osmosis, the energy between you all, because your eyes are the windows of the soul. You're basically absorbing some of that energy and understanding so that you could receive that same or similar perspective based upon how you're seeing and understanding and feeling and sensing who he is, how he's presenting himself, what he's saying, and all the other components that make up him as you're watching him and listening to him.
Where do you see AI further impacting business, say, in the next few years?
So here, I'll tell you, oh my gosh, I was so shocked actually the other day. I went to Taco Bell, okay, and I drive up drive up in my car, and it was AI asking me questions. This is the first time I'd ever heard AI actually asking me questions at a fast food place ever. And so they have refined their processes so well that AI is asking questions. I'm answering them. It's taking the order as you drive through the drive-through. The gentleman inside is listening to AI and me. And if he needs to step in, he will, but he doesn't need to. But what it did for the business itself, and remember, in most of the Taco Bells and McDonald's now, they have it to where you're punching the digits there. They're not really talking with you that much anymore, especially Taco Bell. And what that's doing is it's streamlining their business. If you think about it for a minute, one of the biggest challenges in society right now has been, and this is one of the reasons why they raised the minimum wage in California is in fast food, is because they were having difficulty getting people there. What this does is it eliminates and solves that issue in a huge way, right? Because you need less people there. It's mostly automation. And essentially people come out and bring your food. That's just one simple example. There's people, there's AI, like we do AI as well, which will make sales calls. There's so many things that are happening right now. Like I can create any sort of, written materials that I want to. I can, find out anything that you essentially want to, because, AI has basically read the internet, it's trillions and trillions of data points. So my intention is to just keep focused on who I am and what I'm doing, and just observe, because it's happening so fast and it's just changing our world so much that if you could utilize some of those tools, some of those pieces, then it's going to be a win-win for you.
What right now do you think is the biggest like leadership strategy that you could share with us as a gem?
Many of the topics that I'm talking about is all about the inner game. So, there's something that I'm focused on, which is mastering the inner game. Mastering your game in leadership and relationship and purpose. So ultimately, when you're talking about leadership, there's this saying that says, be a good example for yourself so you can be a better example to others. Again, it's really about understanding yourself better, which allows for you to make better decisions in the 5 key areas of your life. And those 5 key areas, as you make the best decisions you possibly can, the outcome, obviously, each one is going to make an impact on all the other ones. So anytime that you're looking at the leadership component of it, for me, it always begins and ends from within you, always. And it's really a moment by moment model, in my opinion, because the more that you can be clear about who you are and how you're communicating, such as your words are either constructive or destructive, which ones are your words, every single moment of your life, every way that you communicate with yourself is the exact way you're communicating with others. The way that you treat yourself is in direct proportion to how you treat others. Do you follow me? And so for me, it's just really about being cognizant and conscious every moment in every word that you're speaking and everything that you're doing. And those thoughts that come to your mind, holding your place and either not allowing them to come out or removing them from an internal process or practice or something that you've identified, that allows you to be more aligned with who you are in the world for the betterment of humanity.
No, that's great. That actually aligns with, at least it resonates with me in a little bit, and some of the things that I've been trying to do. Like I've been trying to, just as a personal growth type of thing, trying to focus more on speaking about positive things as opposed to focusing on some of the net. Because I can be kind of critical, like just the way that's just like, I guess my natural tenor is like to be a little critical and a little analytical about things, and oftentimes you can veer into the pessimistic side of that. Well, I don't know what the opportunities are here, or I don't know what the chances are for this, or even when
Sure.
you're talking about people that you might manage, you know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know if they're going to develop and different things like that. So I'm trying to be a better person in terms of like focusing more on that growth mindset of being like, oh no, we can definitely develop this, or we can overcome this challenge, or even if the odds are they look small, you know what I'm saying? There's still a chance we can see that vision. Let's push towards the opportunities that we can see, as opposed to focusing
Yeah.
on what's standing against us. So yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely resonates with me.
And just keep in mind that one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that we pull emotionally and energetically off of each other constantly. The reason why that's important is, if you ever walked into a room and you didn't have a headache, but all of a sudden you have a headache, or you walked into, you were fine, and then all of a sudden came into an environment, all of a sudden you're feeling this, negativity or something around you, is because we're pulling off other people's energies onto us. And so what you just explained to me reminds me of someone who all of a sudden things were fine, and then all of a sudden you go into this zone which is more pessimistic, or some other, you're trying to battle or something of that nature, right? This is where the every moment and doing your best to being cognizant and conscious of your thoughts and your emotions, and realizing there's a process to it. And this process is that you're going to pull off of somebody else just like they're going to pull off of you. So there could be a moment in which you all of a sudden you have this headache just all day or something, and all of a sudden in a moment you didn't take anything and it's gone. That may have been because somebody else pulled that off of you. I know I'm getting a little bit on the energetic side of it, but that's the reality. So just keep that in mind. And the more that you're conscious of situations such as that, the more that you realize that thought may not have been yours, is my point.
Got you. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll turn it back
Sure,
over to
absolutely.
Corey. Appreciate that.
I kind of want to piggyback off some energy, but I call it the monster energy, the word fear. Let's talk about that, because a lot of people that I speak with, oh, I want to do this, but the fear of not making money, the fear of, I quit my job and I'm trying to be a full-time entrepreneur, the fear of being able to handle the responsibilities. Let's talk about that energy called fear.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because most people, if you were to do some sort of kind of test, so to speak, you'd find that most people are afraid of success more than they are afraid of failure. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And here's the reason why, is because it requires responsibility. And most people aren't able or willing to accept the responsibility that everything is coming from within them outward. It always begins that way and ends that way, right? So essentially, that's the one thing. The other thing that you can do as an exercise simply is, who is this? I saw somebody on television one time, and it was something about they were about to go through some fear. And here's what he said. He said, I can do this. And bam, he did it. I can do this. So he put in his mind and trained his mind to say, I can do this. And then he went and did it, right? And the word I, or the letter I, you're the only person that can actually say that. I can do this. So that's maybe one exercise. Another one is, who is this? In other words, let's just say there's fear coming up. Who is this? That's not me. Who is this? Who is that energy? Who is that saying that to me? That's not me, kind of thing, right? So what you're doing, whatever the case may be, what you're really doing is you're basically calling out those negative thoughts to say, who is this? That's not who I am. I'm a powerful being. I'm a powerful person. That's not what I'm made up of. So you're calling it out. And then all of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. Try it.
Great information, man, because I feel like a lot of times, just my personal life, certain fears, it'll start becoming such a distraction that it starts holding me back from accomplishing a goal. Then I'm like, a few months later, I forget about that fear, then I accomplished the goal, and I'm like, really, I was afraid of that. But I do see a lot of that in business.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you came on the show today about that. But I want to do a quick transition real quick. But first off, are you enjoying yourself on Black Men Sundays?
Oh yeah, this is great. I love it.
Nice.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Nice, man. So let's talk about your Grow Your Vision for Men you got coming up. Let's talk about what that is, when it's coming up, and how can people join?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So essentially, what I realized is that we wanted to create a brotherhood, a family, a community for men where they can come and they could basically be in a great vibe, be in a great environment, so they can, share some of the challenges that are going on in their heart, be part of, men who really are there for them rather than, against them and feel like they need to be concerned about what other people are thinking. So the whole idea is really around grow your vision. Grow your vision, and what's your vision in your family for your family? What's your growth, for your spouse, your partner, your children, yourself? What's your vision for your career, your business, right? If you have a business, what's your vision for the outcome of the clients or customers that you have, for instance? And a lot of times, what we're really coming to is who are you as in a helping people to be better fathers, be better leaders in the world, be better example setters in the world, right? As men, and realize their responsibilities that they have to shape their family, to shape their destiny, to shape their environment. And that is a huge role. It's a huge role for men. And a lot of times, men have shied away from being in that place or accepting that role, and for whatever reason. It could be, they feel challenged by a woman, or, any sort of details that are going on, they're growing up or something. And so we're there to be present with them and build a community around that. And that's what Grow Your Vision's about. It's really about, we're going to do this every few months, every quarter or so. But the whole idea is that it's really around growing your vision, because most people are lost. They're not really at that quantum, right? And we're coming into the new year as well. So this is a great opportunity. It's a one-day event. It's going to be November 9th in Newport Beach, right on the bay. We're overlooking all the yachts. It's a beautiful environment. We're going to have some great food by Luscious Jimmy's, and he's a good friend of mine, and just a great time. It's just going to be a really nice. We're going to have a panel of, a few guys, 3 to 5 guys on a panel. We're going to be giving money to charities. We're going to basically have a couple of people talking about what I just shared. And it's just going to be a great, time to create community and to learn. And it's designed to be a transformational event. So, you want to come because it's designed for your life to be transformed into the next 2 levels of who you are, not just the next one.
Great. And is there a website that,
Yeah, they
people
can go to thetrueleader.com, and it's true is TRU, no E. So it's thetrueleader.com. And you can go there. All the information's there. Again, it's in Newport Beach, and on November 9th, all day. And then we'll see if we have an opportunity to go out on the yacht that night. We don't have right now, but we'll see. It's always fun to go out on the bay and then potentially go in the ocean and so forth. So that's always cool.
definitely, yeah, that sounds great. I definitely want to sign up.
You just text in MOP to 949-749-2998. That's 949-749-2998. And then you'll go to a landing page, fill out the information. You'll see it on that website a little bit, and then you'll get the guide, and that'll put you in the system for events and other kinds of things. And then if you want to attend or find more information about the event, go to thetrueleader minus the either.com. And otherwise, feel free to look up anything that we're talking about here on LinkedIn or on Black Men Sundays, and my information's there. So I'm just grateful to be here.
Definitely, man. Well, hey, Kenneth Lord, man, thanks for coming on Black Men Sundays. You dropped a ton of gems, a ton of knowledge. I actually feel a little refreshed after this. I'm kind of like, wow. So
Cool.
thanks for coming on Black Men
Yeah.
Sundays. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week, man.
Yeah, you also. I really appreciate it.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away.